Hello and welcome to the news at 10 here on NTA News 24. We're broadcasting live from our studios in Abuja. I am Claire Adilabu Abdurrazak. Here are the headlines. Federal government pledges more commitment to improving living standards for displaced persons. And Senate insists investigation of agencies for accountability must go on despite their non-appearances. The Nigeria Customs Service releases list of items to be imported with zero tariff and taxes. And a warm welcome to the program. And let's take you now to Equatorial Guinea, where President Tinubu has begun his 3-day official visit. Now, he was received on arrival in Malabo by the country's first female Prime Minister, Manuela Rukabote. Later, President met his host, President Theodore Obiang at the country's presidential palace, called the People's Palace. While in Equatorial Guinea, the president is expected to hold strategic meetings, particularly on oil and gas, as well as security. And back in Nigeria, federal government has assured development partners that the Tinubu administration will fully support initiatives aimed at alleviating the suffering of persons displaced by conflict and natural disasters within and outside Nigeria's borders. And Vice President Kashim Shettima gave the assurance when he received a delegation from the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, led by Assistant High Commissioner for Operations Raouf Mazo, during a courtesy visit at the presidential villa.
The meeting started with acknowledgement of the United Nations system support for Nigeria over the years, which has assisted in addressing challenges in the northeast and the nation as a whole, and addressing critical issues affecting the well-being of citizens and other persons affected by conflict and natural disasters in the country. Vice President Kashim Shettima said government is open to new ideas for collaboration, especially the UN's emphasis on sustainable resettlement of refugees. Vice President Shettima noted that the Nigerian government acknowledges and understands the difficulty of the situation in the Sahel region, noting the challenges experienced in the country were unique, assuring that the president is working round the clock to get things right by diversifying the economic base of the nation.
Generally, the fact that we need to gradually shift from a model that is more based on humanitarian assistance to one that moves more towards self-reliance. And that's something that His Excellency, the Vice President, appreciated a lot. Even if one finds himself or herself in a situation of displacement, one still has skills that one can contribute to the economy of the community that is receiving that person. So it is important that we partner with development actors to make sure that we go beyond just providing humanitarian assistance, and that was a point that was raised.
The United Nations delegation also highlighted Nigeria's exemplary treatment of refugees and discussed plans for enhancing support and transitioning towards sustainable development strategies, acknowledging host communities who are playing essential roles in making sure that the refugees are resettled, which is a new approach aimed at addressing long-standing issues of dependency on aid and facilitate easier reintegration when refugees return to their home countries. From the State House, Abraham Jibrila, NTA News.
And Nigeria has received commendation for steadfast commitment to the tripartite agreement between Nigeria and the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, UNHCR, towards protecting the rights of refugees and asylum seekers across the country. Now, this was during an official visit by heads of delegation of UNHCR to Nigeria, to the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons to assess the state of refugees in the country. Ruth Agwele reports.
Nigeria is renowned for its hospitality towards refugees and asylum seekers, but the responsibilities of being a host country have necessitated consistent support from the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees to aid humanitarian interventions for persons of concern. This high delegation from UNHCR to the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons is to assess Nigeria's response mechanisms to refugees, review technical interventions and strengthen repatriation processes in the country.
One thing that we discussed, that we've been discussing, whether it was in Borno State or earlier in other meetings, is the need for all of us to move more towards self-reliance as much as possible and reduce to the extent possible the dependency.
I understand that we are in discussions with the Commission, with the National Commission, on how to perhaps expedite the processing of Cameroonian asylum seekers. I understand there are some 20,000 who are still awaiting registration, and that we are looking jointly at ways and means of expediting this process of registering them.
With about 53,000 Nigerians living in Cameroon as refugees, 21,000 in Chad and 40,000 in Niger, the Commission expressed worry while acknowledging the support of UNHCR, seeking support to expand interventions to refugees to other parts of the country.
We must have to introduce other ways to make sure the IDPs and the refugees provide for themselves livelihood. And that's why we launched that agricultural livelihood for the refugees and the IDPs. And we are launching another one in Plateau. Of course, we will extend it to other states of the Federation. We are also introducing security acquisition centers in the 6 geopolitical zones to provide durable solutions to our refugees and IDPs.
As both parties agree to continue to work in synergy, there are expectations from both sides towards meeting targets and achieving mandate. In Abuja, Ruth Aguwele, NTA News.
And away from that to the National Assembly now, where the Senate Committee on Public Accounts says it will not be frustrated by persistent evasive disposition of chief accounting officers of some ministries, departments and agencies of government to honor its invitations, as such agencies will soon bear the consequences. Now, this is with regards to non-appearance of the affected MDAs to respond to queries raised against them as contained in the Auditor General's report. Briefing journalists on the development, the Senate Public Accounts Committee says the attitude of the agencies is contrary to the commitment of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to ensure transparency and accountability in the running of the business of government.
Office of the Accountant General of the Federation. 2. Nigeria Mining Cadastral Office. 3. Federal Inland Revenue Service. 4. Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, former DPR. 5. Nigeria Police Force. 6. Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. 7. FCT Internal Revenue Service. 8. Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. 10. Nigeria Immigration Service. 11. Federal Ministry of Women Affairs. 12. Ministry of Defense. 13. Nigeria Communications Satellite Limited and others.
The committee resolves to consider and adopt the position of the Auditor General as reflected in the audit queries. And from the House of Representatives, Speaker Tajuddin Abbas has withdrawn the counter-subversion bill and related draft legislation from consideration by the Green Chamber. The bill, initially sponsored by a speaker which sought to criminalize destruction of national symbols and prescribe penalties for illegal actions that threaten national security. The withdrawn counter-subversion bill, which passed first reading at the House on July the 23rd, 2024, has been subjected to criticisms and controversy in the media space. Now, this led the Speaker to issue an initial clarification that the bill was not targeting any group or section of the country. Consequently, In response to the voices and concerns of the citizens, Speaker Abbas says he has decided to withdraw the bill following extensive consultations with a broad range of stakeholders and a careful consideration of the nation's current circumstances. The Speaker, while acknowledging the significance of the concerns raised about the bill, reaffirms that he will never support any action that might disrupt the peace and unity of the nation, and that withdrawing the controversial bill reflects his commitment to ensuring that the House of Representatives remains truly the People's House. And from the confluence state, Kogi, the state government has taken a step towards enhancing the judiciary's efficiency. Now, this is as Governor Ahmed Usman Ododo continues to support the judicial system by providing essential resources. Here is Ajibola Christopher's report.
The governor has once again handed over a set of vehicles to judges in the state. This follows a previous presentation of vehicles during the swearing-in ceremony of new judges and caddies of the Sharia court. This badge, comprising 11 vehicles, is intended to facilitate the dispensation of justice, ensuring that the wheels of justice turn for the benefit of the people.
On behalf of His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kogi State, the President of Alhaji Ahmed Usman Ododo FCA, to humbly deliver 11 official cars in addition to what he has delivered last time, to your humble self for onward delivery to the judicial officers in the state.
The Chief Judge of Kogi State expressed gratitude for the governor's actions, noting that the governor has matched his words with support for the judiciary.
At the last time of the swearing-in, he made available 14 vehicles, for official vehicles for us. And today we are taking delivery of another 11. But we thank God that he's a man of his words, and he has also followed it up with actions by supplying us these vehicles today.
Some of the beneficiaries also expressed appreciation, pledging to uphold their responsibilities and ensure that justice is administered across Kogi State.
Optimum performance. We thank God.
I'm extremely happy for the state governor, our governor, amiable governor, who has done this to us.
These vehicles are to be utilized in enabling judges to perform their duties.
And to politics now, the People's Democratic Party in Benue State is facing a fresh crisis with two factions led by former governors Gabriel Suswang and Samuel Ortom. The leadership of the party has, however, inaugurated a caretaker committee to reconcile the two factions and also organize peaceful congresses. Correspondent Timothy Yusuf reports that Senator Napoleon Bali from Plateau State is the chairman of the committee.
Inauguration of the 17-man PDP caretaker committee to run affairs of the Benue State chapter for the next 90 days, following expiration of tenure of the elected erstwhile state working committee members.
We don't want any interest to be left alone, whether good or bad. In a party, you have the good, the bad, and the ugly. Everyone is important.
We must live up to the creed of the party. Power to the people. The people, therefore, must be allowed to select their leaders.
Chairman of the Benue State PDP Caretaker Committee, Senator Napoleon Bali, promised that the committee will live above board.
As a retired general, we have been well taught on conflict management. So the issue of whether Autumn or Suswan, they will not come back, and other big names. By the grace of God, I, together with all these members of the committee, we are going to unite them.
The National Working Committee of the party wished the Benue State Caretaker Committee well in their assignments. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
And elsewhere, the outcome of the upcoming Supreme Court judgment for Kogi State governorship tussle is a source for concern in the security arena of the state. Now, as political gladiators and their supporters may turn the celebration of victory or loss into an avenue to cause chaos that could give rise to grave animosity. The Muria Jaka Governorship Campaign Council to the Social Democratic Party believes that against whichever side the judgment might favor or fail, such might result in serious disturbance of public peace, as it urges all hands to be on deck to ensure no breakdown of law and order.
In law, there are things that are not possible. In court process, there are certain things that are not possible. Like I said, the Supreme Court cannot constitute, it's a constitutional court. They are next to God in Nigeria. They are final decision makers. So they make their decision carefully. So it is not possible in the first place for Supreme Court to constitute their panel today, give the judgment, give a hearing today. How would they go through all the documents?
And you're watching the news at 10 here on NTA News 24. Let's break out for some commercials.
My vision for our country is one of a just and prosperous nation where each person may enjoy the peace, freedom, and meaningful livelihood that only democratic good governance can provide. One that is open, transparent, and accountable to the Nigerian people.
You're watching the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Now, responding to the presidential directive on suspension of tariffs and taxes on essential food imports, the Nigeria Customs Service, NCS, has released the list of foods to be imported with zero tariff into the country, provided by the Ministry of Finance. A statement by Public Relations Officer of the service, Abdullahi Maiwada, lists husk brown rice, grain sorghum, millet, maize, wheat, and beans, which previously had tariff rates of 30, 5, 5, 5, 20, and 20% respectively, as items that will enjoy the 0% tariff regime. Now, the customs spokesperson discloses further that the Federal Ministry of Finance will provide the customs with a list of importers and their approved quotas periodically to facilitate the importation of these basic food items within the framework of this policy. He says penalty will equally apply to any company that exports these items in their original or processed forms, saying the policy is effective from the 15th of July 2024 and will remain in force until 31st December 2024. Meanwhile, Nigeria Customs Service has also committed to activating processes that will facilitate federal government's quest of achieving food security. Controller General of the service, Adewale Adeniyi, disclosed this at a launch of a book titled Impactful Public Relations and Customs Management in Abuja. Kunle Adeye reports.
The event, primarily designed for the book launch, coincided with the second Economic Confidential Annual Lecture of the service. The Comptroller General announced the service will ensure swift importation of standardized food items and also intensify agricultural production in line with presidential directives. He's also not unmindful of suggestions raised in the book.
Our ultimate goal is to contribute effectively to government efforts in ensuring food security and economic stability of our great nation. We must prepare for this increased volume, ensuring that our ports and border stations can handle the influx without creating any bottlenecks.
Special Advisor to the President on Economic Affairs, Tope Fashua, dwelt on leveraging effective communication for revenue generation and economic development.
Part of it all, some sectors are doing well today, such as the agri sector, the export sector, the real estate sector, the petroleum sector, the banking sector, and many more. We must continually engage with citizens through the most effective means of communication, changing style and tack as may be necessary.
Some of these tools of PR for media relation, reputation management, crisis communication, publication, social media engagement, and so on and so forth.
The book, authored by Image Merchants Promotion Limited, highlights the Comptroller General's progressive public relations strategies. Kunle Adeyeye, NTA News.
And former President Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan says all hands must be on deck if Nigeria must attain universal health coverage. Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, who was represented by former Executive Secretary of the Nigeria Christian Pilgrim Commission, NCPC, John Kennedy Okpara, was speaking as special guest of honor at a health summit convened by the Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion in Abuja. It is a position echoed by Director General of the National Health Insurance Agency, Dr. Kelechi Ohere.
I urge the Anglican Church and all faith-based organizations to continue their unwavering commitment to health and social justice. Your influence, your reach, and trust within communities can bridge the gap in our healthcare system.
It is clear that the church has a critical role to play in driving the nation towards the attainment of universal health coverage and being that beacon of light.
And Primate Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion Most Reverend Henry Ndokoba and others underlined the necessity for the church to extend its evangelism to social services like health care.
Living a prosperous, healthy life and providing efficient health care services is not merely a desirable goal, but an imperative for the Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion.
The Church, as a beacon of hope and healing in our communities, plays a vital role in promoting health prosperity.
This summit is being convened with an overarching mandate to identify and strengthen the foundations of health in mission.
And the Health Summit brings together key players in the health sector who are also members of the Anglican Church. And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is expected to preside over the celebration marking the 70th anniversary of the Muslim Student Society of Nigeria, slated to hold on the 12th of October 2024. Now, former Governor of Kano State, Ibrahim Shekarau, disclosed this during a media session with newsmen in Abuja, and Tokwe Alabi was there.
واعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا ولا تفرقوا.
Muslim Student Society of Nigeria, MSSN, was established to promote Islamic identity on April 18, 1954, traced to the effort of some students at Methodist Boys High School, Lagos.
The MSS has predated the NYSC.
This press conference, addressed by former Governor Ibrahim Shekarau, who is the chairman of the steering committee alongside Ishaq Kunle-Sani, chronicled what MSSN has contributed for more than 70 years to national development, serving as a tool for national unity and cohesion through its programs and activities.
Globally, the age of 70 is an age of statesman, and what is expected of a statesman is leadership by example and guiding the younger ones.
That what we have in MSS could be transferred to the generality of Nigerians, because I can go to anywhere in Nigeria now. I don't need to pay for an hotel anywhere because of the brothers there, whether they are junior or senior or my age mates, or even if you go to the diaspora.
From the decade of crusade, consolidation to propagation, reformation to rejuvenation and reintegration, stakeholders say time has come for MSSN with its 37,000 branches across the country to celebrate past successes and achievements.
We should go back to the drawing board
and see what are the aims and objectives upon which the founding fathers established the society, because those aims and objectives, those missions and visions are not far away from taking our country out of the condition we are to a better state. And
the 7th decade, according to MSSN, is for consolidation of programs and processes that will foster unity and brotherhood and encourage members to participate in politics and governance. In Abuja, Tokwe Alabi, NTA News.
And here is a reminder of our top stories. Federal government pledges commitment to improve living standards for displaced persons. And Senate insists it will go ahead with investigation of agencies for accountability despite their non-appearances. Nigeria Customs Service releases list of items to be imported with zero tariff and taxes. And the Ministry of Defense has reiterated its commitment to ensure premium security hardwares are produced to cut down cost of procurement and delays in deliveries, military hardwares and ammunitions. Defense correspondent Alhaji Bello reports that the Minister of State for Defense, Mohammed Matawale, made this known while signing a memorandum of understanding with the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI, and the Ministry of Mines Development. Now, the landmark agreement marks a significant step in strengthening collaboration between the two key government agencies to foster technological advancement and enhance capabilities of Nigeria's defense sector by leveraging NASENI's expertise in science and engineering infrastructure, as well as the Ministry of Mines Development resources.
200 million rounds of ammunition per annum, just military, because even if per $2, and we can be able to achieve this production capacity, we will not have the problem of this foreign exchange pressure.
Where the Ministry of Steel Development comes in is that the Ajaokuta steel plant provides the perfect platform for the military industrial complex. The steel plant, the entire steel plant that has 44 production units, sits on 800 hectares.
For the establishment of Defense Industries Corporation or complex, which will be producing military hardware to ensure that we are self-sufficient as far as military consumables is concerned.
And that ends the news at 10. Do join us again at 11 for the news update. Good morning.